Welcome to the Halfling and the Spaceman's Creative Journeys. We love talking to creators about their journeys, and today we are talking with G. Scott Huggins. And Scott is an author of several short stories in various sci-fi and fantasy anthologies, as well as he's written his own books. And he has just released in January of 2026 the first in a new series, Through the Looking Glass Darkly. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Well, we are happy to have you, and we say this a lot. We appreciate your patience, your flexibility, and just hanging in there while we get the technical difficulties worked out. So,
It's a whole lot easier chasing people around at conventions with a camera and a mic, isn't it?
you For some reason, it is. You would think maybe the opposite because we're all sitting and we're all just kind of no, not with the technical issues. Anyway, well, Scott, we'll go ahead and get started. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, your formative years, and how and when you decided that you wanted to pursue professional writing.
Well, I was exposed to Star Wars at the tender age of 5, back when movies were still coming out in theaters in consecutive years. So I picked that and ran with it. Mom and Dad were kind of casual science fiction fans themselves. They read Anne McCaffrey and Alan Dean Foster, and when I was old enough, I started reading those too. Fell in love with them. Um, so it was, I don't remember, it must have been sometime before high school that I realized that, people wrote these things, and that meant that maybe I could write them too. So I started out doing that, and it was that's really just when it all started. Started writing stuff in high school, and then from there trying to climb the ladder of getting published, which I thought was the end all be all then, and then found out was only the beginning. So
It's a never-ending journey, isn't it?
it is indeed.
Uh, well, and today you have to do it all, really. I mean, whether you self-publish or whether you work with a bigger publisher, you're expected to do it all. You got to do your own editing and you got to do your own promoting yourself, and it's a lot of work. It does not end with getting the book published. You're absolutely right.
No, it certainly does not.
Well, I think Spaceman is going to have the next question.
And I do have the next question.
He does.
So you've already mentioned Star Wars. Were there other fandoms that drove you to become the writer that you are?
Oh, my biggest fandom, I mean, in my teen years, the I was such a Trek head. This was before Next Generation even happened. So there wasn't very much there wasn't nearly as much out there as there would be, I should say. My friends and I would sometimes play FASA's old Starship Tactical Combat Simulator game. So I'm really aging myself there. Um, and I mean, as far as other fandoms, let's see. The first fandom that actually, in some ways, gave me a story that I published was the Babylon 5 fandom. When that came out, there was an episode that was written where it was one of those episodes where I said, "Nah, that's the wrong way to do that. I can do better than this." And I wrote a story essentially like, "This is how it should have gone." It wasn't fan fiction, but the core of the story kind of was.
It is amazing the number of writers that we've talked to who got motivated because they either read something in a lot of their cases, but in your case, saw something on, on TV and said, I could do that better. And,
Yeah.
and it's amazing what a motivator that that is. Uh, but that's pretty cool. We're big Babylon 5 fans too.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, it's one of my favorites.
yeah. Uh, well, in reading a little bit about you, you are somewhat of a world traveler, self-described. Um, so has that affected your, or did it affect, I should say, your education? Were you traveling a lot, during your like high school or college days or anything like that, or did the traveling start after you finished?
No, actually did start during college. High school, I didn't get to do anything, but I mean, I graduated in 92.
Mm-hmm.
So that meant that my freshman year of college, I got to college, and this is when the Soviet Union had just fallen apart, and Boris Yeltsin and Bob Dole put together a scholarship for what would have been my sophomore year and
Mm-hmm.
said, "Hey, anybody who wants to can go to Russia for a year as an exchange student." Well, I was taking, Russian one and two, and I said to myself, "I am never going to forgive myself if I miss this opportunity to watch, from firsthand what happens as the Soviet Empire crumbles and reinvents itself in Russia." And ability to make friends. If anything, it enhanced it because everybody loves the foreign exchange student. It makes you weird in all the best possible ways. And I've got to tell you, despite the problems that we and the Russians are unfortunately having now, being an American in Russia in 1993 was awesome. Everybody loved the Americans. We were the forbidden fruit. We were the people that the horrible government that just overthrown told them were terrible. So obviously we were all awesome. And so yeah, I got a front row seat at the very last gasp of the communists trying to retake over, which was truly pathetic and didn't amount to anything. But it sure did make the year exciting for a while. And then I went back to school and another foreign exchange program showed up, this time for Germany. So, yeah, I got a college education and I never went to the same college 2 years in a row.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Wow. What what an experience. That is awesome. That's
Yeah, it was a
awesome.
lot of fun.
And I'm sure very educational.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you getting education that most people don't get unless they're like a foreign exchange student, or unless they decide to just, not have a house or anything and just travel all over the world,
Indeed.
you know. I mean, I remember after my parents retired, this is not world traveling, but it's country traveling. They rented an RV and went just from one end of the US all the way to the other end. There was no agenda. They just stopped whenever and wherever they wanted to, and they just, they did that, saw everything they wanted to see, and boy, did they have the time of their lives doing it. Um,
Sounds like a lot of fun.
yeah, yeah. Um, but anyway, I'm sorry, I got us off topic, so I'll get us back on topic.
Well, it's my turn for a question, Evelyn.
Yeah.
So you talked about your world travels as being an influence. Can you tell us about the other influences on your writing?
Well, I mean, yeah, the travel was certainly an influence. If I had to say, literary influences, probably right now, I'd have to credit Jim Butcher and Lois McMaster Bujold as my two biggest contemporary influences. Other than that, I mean, some serious, some classics. I mean, there's quite a bit of influence from the Bible, I suppose. C.S. Lewis, of course, everybody who writes fantasy is influenced by Tolkien, whether they want to be or not. And I do love Tolkien. So I mean that I would also say Chesterton and maybe even John Milton to go with all of that. So yeah, my influences are pretty epic, I would say. And I do tend to write more in the epic fantasy genre. In fact, I would say that with Canon Publishing, I've got a series right now. I'm working on the third book of. This is the first one, the Wishkiller Saga, and that's probably going to end up being my Lord of the Rings in some ways. Is as arrogant and boastful as that sounds, I figure every writer does try to do Lord of the Rings at some point. So that's probably going to be mine.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, it's always good to have ambition, and something to sort of, try to hit the mark on. So, uh, well, okay. So you just had a book come out that I mentioned at the beginning, and it's planned as a series. Can you give us the elevator pitch for this first book, and if in general what the series as you envision it is going to be?
Well, the series is called The Adventures of Jehanne Dark, and as it implies, it's not really. I mean, Wishkiller is a series. It's got a series. It's got an arc. The Adventures of Jehanne Dark is going to be more. I mean, it's the continuing adventures of. So you can read through a Spyglass Darkly, and I promise if I were to drop dead tomorrow, it would be a standalone novel. You will not be left on a cliffhanger whatsoever. Yeah, I've got some other ideas, but I mean, this is kind of like, well, Star Wars was supposed to be when it came out, just one episode after the other. But in reality, let's see. Okay, so elevator pitch for Through It Spyglass Darkly, which I very much regret. I don't have a hard copy to send you to show you because Amazon is very slow when it comes to author copies. It's not my press's fault, it's Amazon's fault. So here we go. When a half-Gorgon assassin, sick of being Europe's most dreaded weapon, finds her need for revenge, leading her to a new king being threatened by her targets, a marriage alliance seems the perfect way out. But, although they can learn to live with each other and maybe even find love in their negotiated marriage, have they both gotten more than they bargained for when they inherit each other's enemies along with their gifts?
It sounds like our marriage.
Did you just accuse her of turning people to stone with a glance?
No, I'm just talking about inheriting each other's enemies.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, there you go. So that's my elevator pitch for the book.
Okay. Well, you did that very well. Very dramatic and forceful. I like it. I like it.
Thank you.
Do you go to conventions and do that pitch?
I wish I could go to conventions and do that better. But I'm gonna have to practice for next LibertyCon. See if I can get going.
Well, if you need people to practice that, we're going to be there next year again.
Oh,
So.
good, good.
Oh,
Well, I
yeah.
will see you there then.
Yes, absolutely. We're looking forward to it.
All right. Well, on with the next question, Halfling. So we just got your pitch. Let's talk about your process. So how do you go from an initial idea, that kernel or nugget of an idea, to a fully formed work like the one you just pitched?
Okay, I mean, very often I'm going to have to admit, very often the kernel of the idea shows up as a short story. So I get the idea for this one just started with, okay, so what if you have Medusa, but you give her a telescope? And I was
Okay.
like, uh, oh man, that's going to be killer, quite literally. And
yeah.
And so I wrote the short story. I wrote the now by the time I got it to novel format, that opening short story kind of expanded to about the first three or four chapters. But I did give the short story version in an anthology called Talons and Talismans, and so that's out there if you want the really short version. Um, but so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of say, okay, if there are continuing adventures, what are they? So I kind of just do a sketch. Then if it's worth the time, I'll do an outline and see if I can get the whole story from start to finish. And then what I tend to do is I tend to sort of double outline. So I'll take the original outline and I'll outline the chapter, and that'll start to get me actual bits of dialogue and beats, and then I'll go through and write in the actual text. But I've had a number start that way. So, for example, uh, this book, which is self-published, All Things Huge and Hideous, this started out with the idea. So, what if Sauron had a veterinarian, and wouldn't that job suck? So these are the adventures of James and Harriet, who are stuck being the veterinarians of the evil Dark Lord. Only in this novel, sorry, in this collection, the Dark Lord has already won. Sauron, found the ring. Everybody's a slave. Everyone's life sucks. And how do you live being the Dark Lord's veterinarian? So this is my dark comedy dystopian fantasy series.
I hate to think what sort of animals the Dark One possessed that they would need a veterinarian.
Dragons, wyverns, basilisks, salamanders,
Yeah.
all sorts of awful things that will try to kill you. And of course, you can't just go to the Dark Lord and shrug your shoulders when his pet dragon is sick and go, "Sorry, it's time." The Dark Lord gets angry about that. So.
I love it. That sounds like a lot of fun. Uh, where okay, quick aside question. Where can I pick that up?
Oh, it's on Amazon.com. All you have to do is go to my web page, my web page, gscotthuggins.com. We'll link you right to it, or you can go on Amazon and look up G. Scott Huggins. The All Things Huge and Hideous and its sequel, All Creatures in His Thrall, are available, and lots of people have liked them.
Okay. All right. Um, well, so did you take any writing classes or are you part of any writers groups? What have you done to like sort of enhance your professional, you know, abilities or whatever?
Um,
However
I
you want
w-
to say it.
I went to let's see, I went to Clarion back in 1997. That I got to learn from Octavia Butler, Joan Vinge, Tim Powers, among others, and that was a wonderful experience. Um, oh dear Lord, I actually wasted my education in some creative writing classes, and that's kind of turned out I really should have done something else, but for all the good those were. But yeah, I really did. I was part of a writing group, but I kind of ran out of time, and everybody lived so far away. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I totally ran out of time for that group as much as I liked it. And yeah, it's kind of lonely process right now. But I mean, my writing skills just come from a whole lot of practice and getting rejected and finally getting accepted, and then the occasional convention.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fair. I mean, you put in the effort, and sometimes it's worth it, and sometimes it pays off, and sometimes it doesn't. So,
Hmm.
Yeah. You just got to take those lumps and keep going, right?
Yep, that's true.
uh, well, um, we're about out of time, aren't
Yeah,
we?
we're about out of
We're
time.
about out of time.
We're about out of
Okay.
So, so listen, we want to thank you so much for again for taking the time to join us and your patience and getting everything set up and working through the technical difficulties. We have thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you and getting to know a little bit about your writing process and things that you're doing and we are definitely looking forward to actually meeting you in person at LibertyCon.
Yeah, there's a great coffee shop about a block behind the convention center. So, if you're a coffee drinker, I'll treat you to a cup.
Oh, well, thank you. I love coffee. And likewise, thank you so much for taking the time to have me on your show, and it's really been a pleasure. So, yeah, I mean, so I've got as I said, I've got a website, I've got a Substack called A Drink from the Well. I'm on Instagram, I'm on X and Facebook. So
Okay.
look me up.
We will get all that in the show notes for sure. We want people to know where they can find all of your cool stuff. Um,
The more
All
cool
right.
stuff, the better. The more cool stuff, the better. And we want to thank our audience for joining us today. And we hope that you've all become inspired and entertained by today's guest, G. Scott Huggins. And this is the Spaceman for the Halfling and the Spaceman. Over and out.